Jayananda Lala.
You can start now, I think.
Yes, yeah. Welcome all. We have been conducting successfully virtual satsang. I'm very happy to see the numbers also. Thank you all. So today we will start with our Ganesha prayer. Sarva-Vignaharam Devam Sarva-Vigna-Vivarjitam Sarva-Siddhi-Pradataram Vandeham Gananayakam. Om Madhyoli Charana.
Madhyoli Charana. The agenda for the today's program is there will be a small introduction on Kala Bhairava by me on Akka's song, followed by an exhilarating presentation with background music by Nandajis. Then we'll follow with experience of the Nandajis who put this song to tune. Then I will give you a few words about today's topic, followed by patience. It will be read out by Chandrakala, one of the Nandajis, followed by self-control, which will be read out by Amrita. In between, we'll have discussions. At the before we end, we'll have an Navgraha Stuti of 9 planets set to tune different ragas. There'll be introduction on that. Thereafter, we'll conclude with Pada Puja and Viniti Padigam. As you all know that as part of our Saraswati Prayogam celebrations, we are going to have a Kala Bhairava home also. This has been indicated by Shaka intuitively, and it was included. And we came across one of Akka's poems, Ingumi Nirendavan, written by her for a Kala Bhairava home conducted in Madras way back in 2003, right? That's an exhilarating song, and we thought that we should put it to tune and dedicate it to this meeting because there is a lot of relevance of this Kala Bhairava song rendered by Akka for our satsang, especially what we are discussing at this point in time, managing self. Many times we believe that Kala Bhairava is a furious god and people are afraid of even approaching him. He is not furious. He is actually Santam personified. He gets furious when he breaches patience. Therefore, he gets out of his own self-control to protect other people, not to establish his ego. And he wears what do you call this Kabbalas, the skulls of the various people. It just means that he is actually killing the ego of people who may be hurting us. Therefore, when you face him, he's got skulls, which means that he is going to ensure that you are not hurt by somebody behind you with their ego. And he has got weapons. Ensure that your enemies which are at your back are actually handled by him. Therefore, it's all protection personified. And we will now go into this song. Before that, Kala Bhairava, the Bhairava has got 3 syllables, Bhairava. Each stands for protection, destruction, and once again creation. Therefore, the Bhairava, as the name suggests, is Parabrahma himself. He appears in several rupas. Now, we will play the song. After the song is played, the experience of Nandajis will be given by Jyoti and her team.
களங்கமற்ற பூரணம் கடஞ்சினத்தின் தோரணம் விளங்க நின்ற பைரவம் விஷுத்தி சேர்க்கும் மெய்தவம் களங்கமற்ற பூரணம் கடஞ்சினத்தின் தோரணம் விளங்க நின்ற பைரவம் விஷுத்தி சேர்க்கும் மெய்தவம் நலங்கள் வாரி நல்கிடும் நமச்சிவாய நாயகம் துலங்கும் ஜோதி தரிசனம் தொடர்ந்து நம்மை ஆளவே ஆணவம் அழிக்கவே அயன் சிரத்தை கொய்தவன் மானவன் மகேஸ்வரன் வாழ்த்துவோரின் வரமவன் ஆணவம் அழிக்கவே அயன் சிரத்தை கொய்தவன் மானவன் மகேஸ்வரன் வாழ்த்துவோரின் வரமவன் தானுமாலயன் இணைந்த தத்துவத்தின் சித்திரம் தானுமாலயன் இணைந்த தத்துவத்தின் சித்திரம் பேணுகின்ற காவலாய் இறங்கி நின்ற நாதனே ஆணவம் அழிக்கவே அயன் சிரத்தை கொய்தவன் மானவன் மகேஸ்வரன் வாழ்த்துவோரின் வரமவன் தங்க வண்ணம் கொண்டவன் சாத்தியங்கள் கண்டவன் சிங்கத்தோலுரித்து சீற்றம் தீர்த்து விட்ட பைரவன் சிங்கத்தோலுரித்து சீற்றம் தீர்த்து விட்ட பைரவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் என்றுமே சிறந்தவன் சிங்கத்தோலுரித்து சீற்றம் தீர்த்து விட்ட பைரவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் என்றுமே சிறந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் என்றுமே சிறந்தவன் பொங்கு மங்களத்தினோடு பொருளும் சேர போற்றுவோம் நம்புவோர்க்கு நம்பியாய் நாளும் காக்கும் பைரவன் அன்பு செய் மனத்தினோர்க்கே ஆசி கூறும் பேசவன் பண்பகை அழித்துமே வாழ்த்த வந்த தாயவன் பண்பகத்தில் வாழவே பரிசளிக்கும் அரசவன் எழுக தீமை எங்கனும் கேண்மை பெருக வையமும் அழைக நன்மை யாவையும் ஆற்றலோடும் ஏற்றமாய் தொடுக உச்சி வரையிலும் தொடரும் இன்பம் நிலை பெற ஆற்றலோடும் ஏற்றமாய் தொடுக உச்சி வரையிலும் தொடரும் இன்பம் நிலை பெற வழுகநாதன் அருளுமே வழுவிலாது பெருகவே எழுக தீமை எங்கனும் கேண்மை பெருக வையமும் அழைக நன்மை யாவையும் ஆற்றலோடும் ஏற்றமாய் தொடுக உச்சி வரையிலும் தொடரும் இன்பம் நிலை பெற எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் ஓம் பைரவாய வித்மஹே ஹரிஹர பிரம்மாத்மகாய தீமஹி தன்னோ ஸ்வர்ணாகர்ஷண பைரவ பிரச்சோதயாத் ஓம் நமः சிவாய ஓம் நமः சிவாய ஓம் நமः சிவாய
Thanks. It was a beautiful rendering. I think everyone would have enjoyed it. It was sung by our own Nandajis of age groups from early 20s to early 50s. Amrita Ramanathan, Janani Vishnu, Jyotilakshmi Rajagopalan, and Vijayalakshmi Rajagopalan. So recorded Rock Studio. The experience of this will be explained by Jyoti. Before that, we must understand why this Engum Nirendavan. And that has been explained quite nicely in this song. Engum Nirendavan means omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Because We all know Bhairava. Probably most of us know Ashta Bhairavas, but actually there are 64 Bhairavas. 8 Bhairavas are the principal Bhairavas who protect us from 8 directions. And each of them I got 7 sub Bhairavas. So it's totaling about 64. All of us know that Kala Bhairava as a dog, but actually there is a time when he is without dog. We can say in Perur, because Akka took me there long back. There, the Bhairava is without dog, and he is called Jnana Bhairava. Dog represents time and also illusion. The moment you cross the boundary of time and cross the boundary of illusion, the dog disappears, Jnana appears. That is the ultimate stage of Jnana Bhairava, and you can find it only a few temples. One I saw is it in Perur. Therefore, it's quite apt. Akka took this word, Engum Nerindavan. And if you look at the meaning of the last 4 paragraphs, normally people say, let God bless me, let things be over. But Akka says very clearly, you will get them, you will get the good, you will get the evil eliminated, you will reach the summit, you will stay there. It is certainty. Therefore, that's the kind of an assurance Akka gives during this song. Now I hand over to Jyoti to explain or give her experiences.
Jyoti is right now in the car.
Okay.
So she has asked me to read out.
Okay.
I am Vijay Rajagopal. Jyoti, are you there? Okay. She just called me and told me she's in the car. So
yeah, you can read it, Vijay, no problem.
No, if you can do. Jyoti?
Yeah, you can read it, Vijay, no problem. You go ahead.
Okay, fine. Okay. Right from the day I got message on Navagraha slokas in Tamil and then the song Engume Niraindavan, my mind was constantly on it the whole of last month. The ragas were to be based on the same as Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar's Navagraha Kirtis. A week before Mr. Shankar messaged for tuning this song, Endrume Niraindavan. Since then, my mind was fully immersed in the lyrics. My heart, my soul, my breath till now is still in him. The way this song got its tune was a very good team effort from Janani and Chitra Ganesh. Explanations and timely suggestions for suitable prose order suggestions. We were literally hunting for percussion accompaniments and everyone we contacted were all busy or away. My only prayer to Akka was to help us bring this song as per her wish. Luckily, Vijay got a contact from a Sai devotee, a young student from Sri Satya Sai Music College, and he was also away when I called him on Sunday, but promised to do the recording before Friday. Tuesday, we did the recording successfully with Akka's blessing, and even there, we could feel Sri Akka's presence as we started singing. Just saw a photo above and it was Sri Varahi, as if to assure us that we were in the right place, Shiva and Shakti together in this. We transferred the burden of percussion accompaniments to Sai Bharat, who did a wonderful job and promptly sent the final recording on Friday. He literally was on phone with all his friends and as many as we could for help in accompaniments. In fact, the Sendai, Udukai were recorded in Coimbatore and sent. As a blessing extended, myself and my husband got an opportunity to travel to Chidambaram, Sirgari, Vaidishwaran Koil, Kadiramangalam, also Tiruvengadu and Tirunallar. Wherever we went, the number of Kala Bhairava darshan we had was a blessing, especially in Tiruvengadu at the Agora Murti Sannadhi. The Ashta Bhairavas were there, felt really blessed, proving Sri Akka's powerful presence and her guidance in all our work through and through, but our sincere efforts are definitely rewarded at the end. Felt it wholeheartedly in the last 3 days. Grateful to Shankarji for giving us such wonderful opportunity. The song is still reverberating in our hearts. Matiyoli Niye Gati, Om Matiyoli Niye Vali. Thank you.
Thank you. I must also compliment Mandar for putting this song together with appropriate, photos and icons. And he has done a good job in the following Navagraha song also. Now, moving on to the experience here. When I first gave this Navagraha slokas, she was battling with, 9 ragas for 9 different Tamil versions. And I loaded this on her because Akka's message was this has to be done in music. She said one music to start with, which was really Carnatic and very, very soft. As I was going through, somewhere I heard Akka's voice. Bhairava comes very fast, rapidly. Don't you know the Rudra, what is the Satvanam Dadvampati Namaga, where when Satviks are heard, Shiva rushes. Now he is rushing you. I want a tune like that. And he is a dancer. I want things that go with the dancer. All these things were coming one as whether I told Jyoti to please grab your old recording and go for something like Shivatandavam. And I need to have the Udukai, something which all go with Shiva's dance. And normally, whenever we get Nandajis to sing, they have only tambura with them, nothing else. This was a challenge for them, especially during this COVID time. And they were able to put it together very nicely. I thank all of them. And now we move to today's topic. Today's topic is that following from where we left last time, two satsangs back, we had Akka's Madhivali Gita, managing self, adding life to life. And that was possible only if you are in a position to understand ourselves before trying to understand other people. And we also went through the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and that no one is full of one guna. Therefore, we are always a mixture of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. But we should try to move away from Tamoguna and also from Rajoguna, and probably try to reach Sattva-guna and use Rajoguna as a tool rather than as a trait. That means we need to understand what are things that are made of these various aspects of Sattva Guna. That's where from Akka's articles and Bhagavad Gita, we called out 20 noble values which contribute to Sattva Guna. If we're able to adhere to them, we would lead a proper life and we'll be very peaceful as well as successful and will bring peace to everybody else. So we started with humility last time. Which is one of the foremost important things for us to move towards Sattva Guna. And at this point in time, we will go into two more articles from P.C. Munavarugal. P.C. Munavarugal is a book written by Akka way back in 2002, if I remember right. And she has written 36, speaks as if 36 emotions speak to us. There are 36 tattvas, as we all know. A God is beyond these 36 tattvas, and he is also a combination of these 36 tattvas. These are nothing but various emotions that are ingrained in us. These are positive emotions. Akka says that you please handle yourself. We allow, these emotions are embedded in your conscience already. You please allow them to talk one after the other. If you do not know, I will tell you what are these various senses and emotions. I will talk to you as if those emotions are talking. Therefore, Akka chose the role of every emotion, and she spoke as if those emotions are speaking to us. It's an excellent treatise. Interestingly, she divided these emotions into 6 each. 1 for early morning, 6 for early morning, 6 for the forenoon, and 6 for exactly 12 o'clock, and 6 for afternoon, 6 for evening, and 6 for the night. The two emotions we are talking about, they fall into the afternoon and in the night. We will go through these two emotions, and these two emotions, basically they're adjunct to the emotion of humility. Therefore, there is a subtle difference between self-control, humility, and patience. They put together give us an excellent value of emotional balance, which is an important trait suggested by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita out of the 20 noble values. Now I request Chandrakala to read out the first portion, which is patience.
Jai Nandalala, Madhuli Charanam. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Can you be a little louder?
Can you hear me now?
What about others? I am slightly hearing you.
Am I audible to everybody now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I'll.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you so much. So I'll begin reading. I am patience. Please lend your ears to me. Those who understand me correctly will not try to take advantage of me for personal gains. Whatever you want to achieve can be achieved if you choose my company. Many a wonder will knock on your doors. When I am lost, even the earth, Bhuma Devi, erupts causing tremors. Only at this juncture, I do realize that there is a limit to me too. Don't indulge in miscalculations under the impression that I am not cognizant or mindful. The very call, control, control, reveals to us the various tracks and paths for the journey of life. Obstacles are also avoided.
Chandra, can you stop here? We will spend some time on these first 5 lines. I invite the views of Nandajis. Please be bold to share your views. Then only we can get the best out of Aka's articles. Chandra, you can even contribute. It is not just you are reading it.
Okay. When I went through these 5 lines, very frankly, what the first thing that came to my mind is how I have often not understood patience the way.
Kindly speak loudly.
Hello.
Kindly speak loudly.
Yes, yes. Okay, just a minute. So yeah, let me start again. So what I meant to say was when I was reading the text that you sent me, I just came to realize that as much as I know, as I've been told by my elders and a lot of people around me, to repeatedly be patient in whatever I do, wherever I am in life, I have often undermined this value. But the moment I read this text, I've understood how very beautifully Atta has explained the importance of patience in the form of a series of actions. It's not restricted to a virtue, it's not restricted to someone always being in that patient state. It is a repeated exercise, an exercise. Sorry. Am I audible now? Hello?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible now? Is my voice clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what I found interesting about her writing, and as well as the translation that's been done very brilliantly by him, patience is not only a state, it is something which we need to keep in mind, or we need to have it in mind when we are acting. It could be about committing to becoming the best at something and staying patient towards achieving that. It could sometimes also be about overcoming negativity by maintaining patience consistently, or negative feelings like anxiety or anger. It could also be about whatever, like, if you have a destination that looks a little long term to you, or something which you might get to in a matter of time. It is also about carrying that quality. And that is why further in the text, I think she also mentions patience as a companion. So I think she is given a very, she has brought out this aspect of patience to life very beautifully by explaining that as a state, as an action, as a virtue, and as a companion also. And I think that's a really beautiful way of bringing this virtue to life. And interestingly, after going through this piece of text, I've come to realize that how much we've been undermining this quality in our life. And most often than not, we've been very subtly, I would say, we also tend to view patience as something which is a sign of probably a weakness, a weak person, or maybe as a sign of some person. We tend to judge people who are typically too patient. So I think I am moving away from that judgment that I once held in my mind. That's all I'd like to share.
Thank you. Any other viewpoint? She has summarized what she has learned from this. Probably it is the impact of the whole article on us. I wanted to focus on the first 5 lines.
Mama, I'm on the road. I don't think I'll be able to tell anything, but whatever I get, like in Kannada, they say Palak Sikkit Panchamrita. So that is what I am going to enjoy whatever I could hear. I'm going to enjoy, but I'll get back to you with questions on WhatsApp after I listen to the recording.
Okay, no
Thank
problem.
you.
What is the meaning of the fifth line? Don't indulge in miscalculations under the impression that I am not cognizant or mindful. I am not able to understand the meaning of this line.
Exactly. I took one day for me to translate this portion of the Akash book. So it's very, very poetic Tamil, and trying to bring out the essence of it in a slightly poetic manner was not easy. I had the same doubt. See, basically what happens is, suppose I'm a very, very patient person. People can take advantage of me. That's what Akash says, the very second line. Those who understand me correctly will not try to take advantage of me for personal gains. So if I am patient, I am not reacting wildly. People may think that I am not even looking at what is happening. By being patient, I am not being, abdicating my responsibility to see or what is going around me. I am not an absentee landlord. I'm mindful of what is happening. I'm waiting for the right time to react. This is very, very important. Like, just take the simple incursion in India's borders, whether it is Pakistan or China. We were patient, but we were taken for granted, but we gave them in good measure and replied them. Therefore, this is exactly what happens in life. If you're trying to be silent and patient, people may take advantage of you, but you know when to erupt and when to. That's why Akash says that even Bhuma Devi, who is the epitome of patience, she erupts. Lord Narasimha erupted out of a pillar to save Prahalada. He was watching till that time. He was patiently watching. He was patiently watching which pillar Hiranya is going to touch. He was running from pillar to pillar. The pillar which it touched, he came out and protected Prahalada. That's where it means. So we have the same thing with Kala Bhairava Sloka also. He was patient till a time came for him to get out and kill the Asuras. That's how, what Akash says is that patience is not a disadvantage. But when you are patient, your energy gets accumulated during that period, and when necessary, you erupt like an earthquake and devour everybody. That's what he says is that when the next line, if you go to the very word control, it's not going to evoke anything in me. I will not get controlled at all just because somebody is asking. Therefore, it has to be inborn within myself. That's what probably that is coming out of this.
Sorry, a startling resemblance is there in the Valmiki Ramayana. Vishnu Sadrisho Virye Somavat Priyadarshanaha Kalagni Sadrisha Krodhe Kshamaya Prithvi Samaha. See, when explaining the quality of Rama, he is having patience just like the earth. And when he, at the final stage, as you rightly said, when the Krodha comes, he is like Kalagni. That was a beautiful thing which immediately came to our mind. I just very nicely it has been brought out by Akka.
Very nice, Kannan. What the whole thing is about is that his Krodham is not his trait. Krodham is his tool. He used the tool so it gets the anger, enough anger and fire to kill the enemies. That was very important. You can always, if you come to next chapter, you can compare Lakshmana and Rama, understand what is self-control and what is not self-control. Any other input, or we can go to the next few lines? Chandra, can you start from I urge you?
Yeah. I urge you to avoid haste in action and half-baked steps. Please act along with me. Every one of your ventures will see fulfillment. Time is not in our hands. We do have to wait for it to ripe. Are you not aware that plucking an unripe fruit before it is mature will render it useless? Don't get into a frozen state of mind, wondering how much burden you can carry. Please come with me. I will render everything possible. If a task is too mighty, try to break it into smaller ones. When you try to do it, please do accept me wholeheartedly. You will certainly complete the entire task. I keep parroting my advice with the sole objective of reforming you. I believe that my repeated calls will bring transformation in you.
Please stop here. We will discuss these 5 lines. Any inputs from anybody on these 5 lines? And they are quite important.
Yeah, Uncle, can I try?
Please.
Yeah, so I guess what it means is we have to, in whatever action we take, we have to always be patient and take our time, and we have to not rush through things. And one thing we have to notice, we have to understand is that we cannot control time. So as they rightly mentioned, that if we pluck an unripe fruit before it matures, it will render useless. So if we are not patient while we are going through an action or something from which we will benefit, if we are not patient while doing the work, then we might as well not get the fruit from it.
Absolutely. I'm happy youngsters are joining.
I think in the first line, Shri Akka has told us to do proper planning and then only go ahead.
Absolutely right. Because if you look at the previous line, the very call control reveals us the various tracks and parts of the journey of life. Obstacles are also avoided. The whole thing is that when you are in a jiffy, you lose your patience. But we need not restrict patience to only losing anger. It's also losing control of yourself. Therefore, when you're able to compose yourself, this is what balance the 20 values Lord Krishna has talked about. Once you control yourself, be patient, take a cool breath, you will find more paths than to achieve your objective than you thought of. Then she goes to the next line. Having found the path, don't allow patience to be lost. You avoid haste in action and off-bake steps. For example, I got patient. I found a few ways of doing things, but I take half-hearted steps. I take try to be a little faster because I thought being patient, I got some way to go ahead. What she says that even when you found the path, even when you arrange the steps, please act along with me. That means patience must be your constant companion. I have to be with you, not only at the thinking stage, but also the execution stage, till you get fulfillment.
Yeah, Suresh here. Yeah, don't take half-hearted steps, meaning that you have complete Shraddha in me, and then take the steps wholeheartedly. And also in the last line, Akka is saying, the sole objective of mine is to reform you. So believe that and then act. So she's asking all of us to be having full faith in the objective of Akka. In transforming us. Yeah.
Absolutely right, because it's not just patience is talking to you, Akka is talking to you in the form of patience. Because every single attribute, see, if you look at the way Bhagavad Gita says that just praise attribute of God. Every good attribute is God. That's what Akka says that. She has taken one attribute, like patience. She believes she herself is patient and counseling us. That's where there's a very personal touch in this emotion that really actually moves us to try to adopt this particular trait.
Yeah, Vasundhara here. So in this, Akka is told that frozen mind, it's so very correct that when problems come, the mind gets cluttered with so many ideas. So we do not know which to take and how to go about it. So that's why, again, she says that break it into smaller this thing so that the clarity comes and then you can move ahead and things will be done successfully and to your satisfaction.
For example, it also got a lot of message on that. When it's a big task, we should not be overwhelmed. Like performing a marriage, it has got a lot of tasks. Probably you like to break into arranging the caterer, arranging the mandap, arranging the this one, arranging this one. Take one item at a time and do it so that you don't feel it. Second, when you break into, you have got always your friends and relatives. You can ask them to cooperate with you in some tasks so that you not only break the work, you are also sharing the work. That's what she means. Which for patient, everybody will listen to you. Therefore, they'll try to oblige you rather than try to don't ask me to do this.
Yeah, Uncle, if I may again to add to Vasundhara Auntie's views, I thought of it in a different way. Normally what happens is if we say some people are patient, patience can be a burden on us sometimes. It might mean that we are carrying a lot. But here she's clearly trying to say that do not treat it as a burden, it is actually an advantage. And also, if you follow her advice, she's trying to make us better. So she's trying to reform us. And it mentions in the last line that I believe my repeated calls will bring transformation in you, which basically means that she wants to make better versions of ourselves.
Absolutely right. Any other point of view?
Mama, is there any? Mama, you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you very well.
Okay. I'm not able to read the text. I read your text only half. I'm sorry for that. The thing is, till when should I be patient? Because I'll have my limit, right? For me, if I'm a short-tempered, I am a short-tempered person. So I want to know, like, should I just mellow down more and be patient till when, or will I know she'll guide? Like, I'm not clear on that.
Okay, right. So when the whole thing is that when unnecessary interference is being done in achieving your objective, or somebody keeps on creating trouble, you must be able to take a call and call it a day and deal with it. Losing patience doesn't mean losing temper. Short temper is a trait which we need to avoid. So what occurs is that you choose, let us say, non-patience as a tool. You will be able to achieve it. There's a subtle difference between short temper. Short temper arises out of instinct, whereas a temper or out of a class of patience arises out of an objective. Therefore, you'll be able to carry many people, be patient and bursting at the right time. And then don't get lost into that. You go back to your patience. You burst and then go back. Just like what Dr. Kannan told about Rama. He burst at the time of the war. Then he went back to total silence and being a sadhu. So it's like we have to understand. That's what occurs is these are emotions, the tool handed over by God to you. You must know how to use the tool. That's why repeatedly I'm saying you be contemplating, you know when to use the tool of not being patient. I'm not saying the word anger. You have to work it out. You'll have to learn it by the hard way.
Okay, thanks.
No, but patience should not be mistaken as an incompetence.
Absolutely. That's what occurs. Very first line he says, those who understand me correctly will not try to take advantage of me because they know I can actually, burst out like a tremor if your patience is tested beyond a time. And probably, each situation you'll have to handle and then try to handle your emotions and also manage the emotions of the other people.
No, but in the fear of being considered incompetent, you tend to become short-tempered. That's sort of an escapist mechanism.
The whole thing is then that if you're really incompetent, you'll have a problem. If you're competent, you're being patient, it won't be a problem. You know when to reveal your competency.
I also feel that that's exactly where the words are. I mean, the different lines here mentioned. It's not talking just about patience. It's also about getting how long can I wait for the right results, right? I mean, I think it talks more about how do you meticulously plan if you want to achieve something. So how do you break it into smaller pieces? It's not that the apple will come and fall on your lap by itself. So it's about how do you work towards it? How do you split that into smaller chunks to not overwhelm yourself and work towards it? And at the end of factoring all of this, putting all the right efforts, if still something does not happen, I think that's when the limit part comes into play.
See, being patient doesn't mean I'm meek. This is what we talked about in the humility discussion last satsang. Therefore, these are very, very subtle emotions, and basically I should be competent. Unless I'm competent, I cannot deliver, and I'll deliver better if I'm patient. So basically, this development of competencies within us. There are soft competencies and then domain competencies. As we go in HR world, they'll talk about soft skills and hard skills. We need to get ourselves trained. Some are blessed while birth, some are to learn it the hard way. Chandra, can you continue the next in this hasty world?
Yeah. In this hasty world, no one will recognize me. Probably nobody wants to spot me. But I never give up. I keep pace with your haste and try to keep reminding of my need to you. After all, only because of my reminders, your actions get freed from flaws. Only those aged and experienced appreciate my work. That is why they are able to remain flexible and accommodative. I am ever in unison with the indwelling conscience. Therefore, I am insulated from the distractions of the outer world. I cannot tolerate those who put the blame on me for their reluctance to reprimand the wrongs. Such abdication of responsibility is not acceptable to me. When I am the companion, no task will be felt as arduous or unattainable. I shall always be awake till success is achieved. If you have to reach the destination, my companionship is vital to overcome all hurdles on the path to the destination. You have to look back, take stock of the current situation, and move forward to take on the challenges. It is essential you walk hand in hand with me in all these exercises. I shall render everything easy and uncomplicated for you.
Can we stop here? I will contemplate on the 4 or 5 lines. Probably, doctor, your question is answered somewhere here, I thought. Doctor?
Yes.
Yeah, like Balakrishnan, I think you asked a question on that, which you don't be viewed as an incompetent or something. I think that is answered in this 4 or 5 lines somewhere.
Yes. And another thing which comes to my mind is that for patients, one to pursue patience, one needs some maturity. If you are not mature, you will not be patient. And so you will not achieve your goal also.
So should we wait for maturity till we advance in age, or should we try to imbibe it in our early 20s and 30s so that we end up fruitful life than trying to lose sleep over what we have not done in the past?
No, but maturity is not only with the age, with the experiences.
Absolutely. That's
When
what
you're encountering with the world,
yes.
Worldly experience gives you maturity, and with that also you can build up your patience to achieve better results.
And the more important thing is, I'm willing to learn from experience. That's where the patient counts. If I'm patient, I will learn from experience. Otherwise, I'll keep repeating the same mistake.
Okay, right.
Uncle, can you explain the third line? I am ever in unison with the indwelling conscience, that line.
Okay. Akka says is that patience is a virtue of God. You are also God, but you don't realize it. Therefore, I am part of the conscience. If you want to work from conscience, you have to be patient. This is a very simple thing, These emotions, some are sanna, sattva gunas, which are the attributes of God. They are also in us. This embedded in conscious somewhere. Unless we tap it, we will not be able to use it. That's what he says is that if you are patient, you are working with me. To give you a very simple example, there are people who feel restless in a running train. What is the point in running inside a running train? You are not going to reach faster, only waste your energy. The train will reach when it has to reach. You have no choice. You cannot get out and go faster in the train. I'm talking about normal train. I'm not talking about stationary trains. Therefore, this is what Akka used to give an example to me. So why are you running inside a running train? You won't reach your destination. You're only wasting your energy. That applies to all of us. That's what she says, that in this hasty world, nobody wants to recognize me. Now, you want to be haste because I'm impatient. Therefore, nobody wants to spot me also. Give up. At some point in time, being your conscience, I touch your intellect and then say, please touch me and get conscious of this attribute where we have to practice. Any other input?
Yeah, in the first sentence, when she said, no one will recognize me, no one wants to spot me. What Akka is trying to say is that in every aspect of our life, we can see the blessings of Akka if we are patientful enough. That's the thing. So, but I never give up. So the blessing is always there from Akka. And it is for us to see the blessings in each and every moment of our life.
And she also talks about introspection in a very nice way. You have to look back, take stock of the current situation, and move forward to take on the challenges. For example, in our hurry-burry life, things will go wrong. With your hurry, things will go wrong. But you'll have to stop somewhere and look back what your actions yielded to you and take up the current situation where we wanted to be and where we are actually, and then move forward. She said, don't get stuck in between. We have to face challenges. We have to change challenges. You please keep me as your companion. I'll make everything easy for you. Chandra, can you continue? Those who lead a fulfilling life.
Those who lead a fulfilling life are our role models for us to learn and imbibe. These lessons are embedded in me, and I rejoice in equipping you with all these learnings. There is no need to seek the identity as intelligent and get lost in dreams, nor get an identity as a fool and be an illiterate. Come with me, be relaxed, move step by step, earn a lasting name and reputation. I don't fall for deceptions. Reality and truth are the testimony of the straight path I work on. Some may sulk. It is easy to preach. I can respond only this much. Don't try to prove me as untruth or wrong. Wait and see. You will realize my true worth. There is no end to the doubt. Is this possible? The belief that everything is possible alone will reap accomplishment. My face is the index of this determination. The need for me is felt more acutely only in the face of many a trial. If you can understand who subjects you to these trials, you will also understand me easily. It is said that one should not treat suffering insult. At times, some insults are indeed needed to learn through personal experience. I am just unifying force. I know the art of integration alone. I am ignorant of disintegration. I am incapable of causing disunity. I am patience speaking to you. I am happy that you listen to me patiently. I plead to you to adopt me, follow me, and read all that is good.
Okay, can we contemplate on these last few lines?
Yeah. So I had another point to add earlier to whatever I was talking. So one is the point of insults. So this reminds me of a story from Mahabharata, Krishna and Shishupala. So Shishupala was born.
Could you please speak a little loudly? I am not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you have to try to be a little bolder.
So I am reminded of this incident from Mahabharata of Krishna and Shishupala. So where we know that Shishupala is born very abnormally with additional heads and hands. And once immediately he's put in the lap of Krishna, he is immediately healed. But he's born with a curse that the person who heals him will also be the person who kills him. And scared of this, Shishupala's mother requests Krishna to somehow save Shishupala from this impending thing that is going to come in the future. So Krishna tells her that I will tolerate until Shishupala commits 100 mistakes or 100 sins. The moment he exceeds that count, I will destroy him once and for all. So I think that is a very, very beautiful example of patience, wherein Lord Krishna himself sets a limit that this is my inactive state of patience that I will maintain to the point the count of sin reaches 100. The moment the sin count is going to exceed 100, I'm going to act. And like Shankar uncle just said, he uses that anger as a tool. He kills Shishupala for the sins that he committed, and he then gets back to his original state. So what she also tries to say in this text, I've always felt, is that yes, insults do come. There is also a limit to bearing those insults. It's up to you to set where that limit stands for you. And once that limit is exceeded, and if it so requires to exit patience and get into a state where you lose your temper for the right reason and then come back, yes, that situation does exist. And that situation, I believe, is very, very beautifully explained in the story. So that was something that crossed my mind as I read this text. That's all I have to share.
Yeah, if you look at Akka just started in these portions, those who lead a fulfilling life are our role models for us to learn and imbibe. These lessons are embedded in me, and I rejoice in equipping you with all these learnings. So what Akka says is that you should also look for example, you first realize that you are not a patient person. Then you look around that people who are patient and who have achieved and try to emulate them. So these are the lessons. Patience as a conscience retains in it. We should be able to use it. Just like you talked about Shishupala, Krishna. Krishna is a role model. Rama is a role model. Abdul Kalam is a role model. Therefore, what makes important is that unless I eliminate my ego, I will not look at somebody else as a great person to follow. So therefore, in any case, in all these things, you will have to get out of the ego. Only ego gives you the haste. Ego gives you, not to be cognizant of other people. Therefore, you should be able to open your mind and see where I can learn from. And I'm like, Srikanth said, I am short-tempered. Look around people who are not short-tempered. If you believe they are achieving something better than you achieve, and try to follow their role model. And it also answers his question that how long should be patient? You set a limit. As long as you are wedded to your goal and not wedded to your ego, it's much easier to deal with people who don't fall in line. There is possibility I may also be wrong. Therefore, the patient are able to consult people and adopt the right path. Then there's a consensus for us to go ahead. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about our normal life. Politics is very different. That is played for the sake of politics. There, I don't know what the emotions play, but normal day-to-day life, this is very important for us to emulate people and then correct ourselves. Akka herself is a role model for being patient.
Sir, in Tirukural, we have one thing. Poruttal irapinai endrum adanai marattal adaninum nandru. Suppose somebody is insulting you, okay, you bear with the insult, but at the same time, you even forget about that. That's still a better virtue, like that. And as you rightly said, yeah, the Gita Bhagavan says you have to emulate because you should have benchmarking. Even in companies, you have the benchmarking practices. Yadyad acharati sreshta tattadeva idrajanaha lokastat anuvartate sayat pramanam krutya lokastat anuvartate. Like that, when we are not in a position to do something, we should look up to someone, as you rightly said, Abdul Kalam, in the current environment, who is so modest, simple, and devoid of all ego.
Correct. That's why we should be. So the whole thing is I should be aware of myself, so that I must have the urge to improve myself. This is very important. That's what Akka talks about, these 36 emotions. It's a beautiful book. If you start reading it, you won't keep it down. And each chapter can take you a couple of days to understand.
I'll narrate one experience that happened to my son. Akka, how she taught him to be patient. He was in some difficulty, so she told him to go to the Nandalala temple around the closing time till he achieves his goal. So around 7:40, 8 o'clock, the temple is supposed to close. So he goes around 7:45. The first 1 or 2 days when he goes there, since Pichmani is very familiar to my son and friendly, he started talking about him after he prays to Ganesha. Then he keeps on talking, and the temple is not closing. And he is not supposed to tell him that I've come here for Akka's directions, that till the temple closes, I should stay there. So he had to wait patiently. And then ultimately he said, all right, we'll see later. Then Pichmani closes the temple. Then my son leaves. So this went on happening for almost 7 to 10 days till he achieved his goal. So he was telling about how she taught him to be patient.
Very correct. For example, take a very simple example. In those days, they used to play the national anthem at the last after the movie was over. People run out of the theater even before the national anthem starts. That's how impatient they were. So it is a very, very common trait to be impatient. But you want not to be a common man. You want to be something better than ordinary folk. Therefore, you need to look at this as an important trait for you to MDF. See, that's what occurs is that some may say, I am preaching. Don't try to prove me as untruth or wrong. Wait and see. You will realize my truth. Because don't brush aside me. That's what others may brush aside you, but you don't brush aside me. This is important, right? Because only with patience we can achieve the impossible, make the impossible possible. And one more thing she says is there is no need to seek the identity as an intelligent and get lost. Here also she certainly talks about ego. Unless you free yourself from ego and was seeking an identity, you will not be able to be patient. Then you will start establishing identity with in impatient and haste means.
What I feel is
perseverance also helps. Actually, patience means perseverance additionally. Because if we are patient, then only perseverance can be implemented.
So the patience is the root trait. You need to be persevering something. Otherwise, you will not be able to persevere.
Akka is, as you rightly said, Shankarji, that Akka is asking us to introspect, because in introspection, all these things, the churning happens, and then you probably start valuing, and it teaches us patience also, actually, when you're going through your own experiences. So you know how to take the corrective actions, and then things fall into place.
Absolutely right, because the Kalabhairava sloka, which we read from, there is one line, Singam Tholai Urthu Sinati Thanithavan Varodha, which is meaning that he removed the sheath of wrath from the body of Lord Narasimha. What the whole text means here is that you are Narasimha yourself. You should know how to break yourself and go to the root and find patience in you. Very important. The self-introspection is like, trying to take your external sheath of your basic, what we call is that Annamaya Kosa and Pranamaya Kosa and Manomaya Kosa. You break all of them and you find the real truth in you. Probably Kannan can explain this.
Yeah, it's always a question of when you look at the self-exploration, we have the 5 sheets. The Annamaya is grass body, which is there, which is visible to everyone. Then see, it goes in a subtler manner. The next level we have the Pranamaya Kosha, which is energy. See, the personality mapping can also happen based on the 5 kosas. The person who is operating from the Pranamaya Kosha is active, we can say, is active, energetic, and things like that. When he goes to the next level of the Manomaya Kosha, then he is having what is known as the creativity and innovation and things like that. There's wherever the mind is involved, we have got the creativity, innovation, and things like that. Then the 4th one is known as the Vijnanamaya Kosha, that is where the sheath of the intellect. See, there is a subtle difference between the intelligence and the intellect. Swami Parsadi has written a nice book known as The Fall of the Human Intellect. See, intelligence you can gather through books, through hearing, and also through various means, through Google, etc. But intellect is always about contemplation, reflection, and looking inwards, which is on the downside now. That is what he says, because people go based on the knowledge one has accumulated from various texts and things like that. But there is no self-effort in understanding oneself in the true sense. And the final one is about the Anandamaya, Anando Brahme Divyajanat, Anandha Devakal Vimani Bhutana Jayante, Ananda, Anande Najata, Jivanti, Anandam Prayanti, Abhisham Vishanti. Like that it goes. The final one is the Ananda, because Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma is also there. And also the Bhagavan is also of the form of the Ananda. The Jiva is also of the form of Ananda. That is why the journey is the Bhrigu. In the Taitya Upanishad, it's a big story, which he goes stage by stage. And at one stage, he is going deep and try to understand, negate that. Then he goes to the next stage, Pranamaya, then Manomaya, then Vijnanamaya, then Anandamaya. Then he realizes self.
That's
It's
correct.
a nice experience. And as Akka said, this each and every quality explained here is very difficult. It is easy to read it out, but to practice this is very difficult. And it comes only through sadhana and by the grace of Akka and things like that only, because it's very difficult.
Yeah, just the last point. You talked about intellect, Once you apply intellect, you understand we make a differentiation between several things. Then there is a choice. When you make a choice, do you make a choice out of ego or out of your superconscious? That's where we are able to keep touching Anandamaya Kosa, because I touch Anandamaya Kosa and therefore engage in action for larger good than for selfish purpose or to satisfy my ego. That's why she gives the example of Narasimha as well as Kala Bhairava. Both are tearing the sheets. She said, keep on peeling yourself. You are an onion. Keep peeling everything, and then you will say you are nothing but nothing. Then nothing is God, actually. Probably we can end here and move to the next chapter. I request Amrita to read out.
I hope Jane and Dalala, Matyola Charanam. I hope everyone are able to hear me.
Very well.
Thank you. This chapter is about self-control, and let me start here. I am self-control. Please listen to me patiently. When I am at present on my own volition, beauty is expressive and explicit there. When others try to control me, I get furious. I am the portrait of the virtues of the learned. I stand tall in the humility of the philanthropists. I live in comfort amongst questions hurled at me. I am hypnotized in the love extended to me. I am identified in the energy of deep thinking philosophers. I am invisible whilst in action. I am divine when recognized and honored. I do have a limit. When I am teased unnecessarily or foolishly, I will become a furious flood, breaching the boundaries. I am the symbol of all that is mature. Haste and jitter will refuse to touch me. I reside compassionately in the minds of those in silent meditation with closed eyes.
Amrita, can you stop here? We'll contemplate in the first 7-8 lines.
Sure.
Amrita, you have got anything to say? You read it out? Probably I thought you would understand also. She's engaged in the team, I suppose.
Yeah, I am. So I have a few things to say. In the first few lines that I read out, it basically explains how self-control plays a role in different people's life, basically, where Sri Akka talks about how philanthropists, how self-control resides in philanthropists and philosophers, and how it is divine in people who have, it plays different forms in different people's situations and different characteristics that are there.
Any other viewpoint?
But in this word adakkam in Tamil can also be reflecting humility.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult to subtly differentiate the two. They merge with each other, but here in the adakkam, in the self-control, has a limit beyond which it bursts. But humility doesn't make it happen.
It's a very actually splitting hair only, but they are actually two different things. Probably when we complete, we'll be able to get some answer to this question. Even I had this doubt. Humility, self-control, all these look like, and even this piece, what is called patience, all are bordering on each other. Probably once we end, we'll have a 2-3 minute discussion on that, how to distinguish and then do that.
This is more related to the control of senses, sir.
Okay, right.
Control of the senses is very important. There's no Shama. Dhamma and Shama are there. It's of that nature. Control of the senses. That is meant by Adakkam, in my limited understanding.
Yeah, Kannan, unfortunately, I did not share that entire book of Akka with you. She talked about discipline in one chapter, which exactly means Adakkam we are talking about. So there are two things. One is that Adakkam is control of our senses. Other is probably the control of something, senses, if you look at senses as something tangible. hear, touch, whatever you're talking about. Something intangible is what is something internal in you. It's bordering on, let us say, are you an animal or are you a man? And it's bordering on, say that, are you going out of act out of ego or other one, something like that, that appeals to me. Probably once we go through that, we'll have some time to discuss that also. Here, what I wanted to point, one thing was that I'm the portrait of the virtues of the learned. I stand tall in the humility of the philanthropist. The whole thing is that this is where all about Matri Seva comes in. Akka says, I am a mother, I give food, it is my duty. I am not a giver and somebody is a taker. Therefore, I am a giver, I am a taker. It should not be in form of philanthropist. Therefore, you control that you are not a giver. You have been given an opportunity to serve somebody. Therefore, you are controlled yourself to egoistically say, I am giving. Probably that's what I thought. That's what my take was, is that is actually trying to say that don't allow your ego or importance to play out, control it. Any other take? Hello? Have you lost me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Any other viewpoint is that? See, it's like this patience. Here also Akka says, I do have a limit. When I'm teased unnecessarily or foolishly, I'll become a furious flood breaching the boundaries. So there is something similar to patience, but something other than patience. Both have got limits. Maybe patience is more deeper than self-control.
Actually, patience, since we read patience earlier, the patience, we are not supposed to cross the boundaries. But here, Adakam, at point of time, it breaches the boundaries. That is the main subtle difference I find.
Correct. That's what Akka, very first line, when I am present on my own volition, beauty is expression and explicit there. Therefore, somebody cannot impose control on me. It has my volition. When it is my volition, I know when to breach it.
I would like to.
I'm consciously handling that.
I would like to add one thing. Patience, I think you are with others. Adakam is what you do with yourself. I don't know whether I am.
Maybe you are right. It's another angle to the whole thing. Yeah. We can now move on. I reside here. Listen, I am the symbol of all that is mature. Taste and used to touch me. So this is once again the same.
Mama? Sorry. There's one line telling women. Okay, I read that line, but I'm not able to recollect it. Why only women? Why not men?
Yeah, I'll ask Amrita, just read the next 5 lines. After I reside compassionately in the minds of those in silent meditation with closed eyes. Then you go ahead.
Soft speech and pleasing disposition are born with me. Women accept me as a loving friend. I will be the most talked about in their conversation.
Stop here. Yeah. There are 2 things. I reside compassionately in the minds of those in silent meditation with closed eyes. Therefore, this is where people are able to sit quietly and observe things. Self-control is automatically there. People who are able to meditate, self-control is automatically there. It is lost by a voluntary action, not because somebody is provoking your ego. Then soft speech and pleasing disposition are born with me. People are under control. You can always see that their words are very few, but they are very comforting to you, and they're very pleasing. And therefore, that is the 2 attributes born along with self-control. Then women accept me as a loving friend. I'll be the most talked about in their conversation. This probably can counter, because whether it goes counter to women's liberation, all those things we are talking about now. No, just let the thought be put, there is a formal point of argument or understanding. Or it is out of context or out of the times we live in. Any thought on that? There are quite a few women in this.
Is it because okay, see, we all have to accept that women is the person who gives birth to a child, not men, right? So she undergoes a lot of patience and lot of things. Is it because of that women, okay, because of that motherly love or something like that? I'm not able to understand, but that line strikes something Akka has told. So there is something which we have to learn.
It is not sexist, actually. See, what I can say is that in the God's creation, there are certain traits attributed to feminine part, and there are certain traits attributable to masculine part. They are not entirely different. That's why you got Ardhanari. That's why you got Lakshmi sitting in the heart of Vishnu. What she says is that it follows the soft speech. If you look at women, by nature, the speech is quite soft. By a majority, I'm talking about. By nature, they are more pleasing. By nature, they are more disciplined. By nature, they have got self-control more than a man. So that's why they are able to run a home amongst very difficulties. They understand what is self-control, when to express themselves, but they do erupt. This is where, when women erupt, like Uma Devi also, feminine part, she erupts. See, the traits of women are given both in Mahabharata and Ramayana. And if you talk too much about it today, people say that, it is male chauvinism. You have to cut out that and see that this is an important trait this is normally accepted by women by themselves, especially under Indian context. Kannan, do you have got anything to say from Shastras?
Sir, I can say, but some people may or may not like. See, what happens is Manu, what he says is, sir, the brahmachari has got to go to the, to his master to recite the Vedas and things like that. Like that in those days, the husband house, he is the Gurukula. Whatever she does is a service to the Lord. And the point here is 50% of the good deeds done by the husband comes to the wife. The wife need not do anything on her own. If she does something, it adds to her own account. But here, 50% is already given to the wife. Like that, we know that wherever the women are appreciated, then the gods live there. Like that, many things are there. It talks about the women equality. The Vedas also said, Tavu me pugumsa ahuhu. There is a vachana which says that means the women are treated as equals to the men. Like that, there are Vedic statements and things like that. But what happens is now, see, if everyone does the tapas, for example, we had the Rishi, Vasishta and Arundhati are like that, the pairs are there. Everyone does who is going to take care of the other one. Therefore, it is only the harmony. See, the harmony is, as we have been seeing, it is only, as you have been rightly advocating, giving. Now, if you talk about the rights, it is taking, grabbing. Whether you are a giver or a grabber is the question. Therefore, women by nature, they are soft. They are willing to accept the mistakes of others. They are trying to transform the members in the family and things like that. A higher pedestal is given to the women. That is my humble view, sir.
Absolutely right. Because probably I can share the Akash article on pen written in one book, Videgal. There she talks about how women by nature they are soft, by nature they are tolerant, but when something happens to their kid or something happens to their husband, they just burst like an earthquake. That is a very normal phenomena of a woman. Probably that article I will share, it will answer this point. What I can say is by nature, women love self-control. They have a little extra tolerance than men do.
Say a single point, sir. This Parvati becoming the Durga.
Yes.
Like that forms, we have to be very careful while dealing with women. Therefore, that respect we have to give, otherwise they will become Durga.
See, there itself in Devi Bhagavatam, version of Vyasa. He talks that when Devi takes the furious form, Shiva is the Sakti behind her. Vice versa, when Shiva takes the furious form, Devi is the energy behind him. Therefore, our Shastras do not eliminate the need of women in anything.
Yeah, sir, we see the form of Durga standing on the back of Shiva. That is also there.
That's also there.
You have
So
to be-
actually, she is the binding force. A binding force is always peaceful and has got self-control and affords the patience. That's what Akka wants to mean. Woman is a binding force.
Thank you. Nicely explained.
Go ahead. I am unassuming. Okay.
Yes, uncle.
Yeah.
I am unassuming. Yet, when I erupt, it will be like a volcano. When I break out, I'll be like a tempest. I always surrender onto the holy feet of the God's idol in the sanctum sanctorum. I am the austere tenderly rocking the breeze. I am the one who kindles the light of the lamp. I am the one floating peacefully as the boat on a flowing river. I inhabit the entire sky unperturbed, in complete tranquil. I am fragrantly present in the deep roots below the earth. I majestically occupy the minds of those who respect me. I distance myself from the noise, blare, and clutter. I will fervently shore up in the gentle hum of the Pranava Om.
Please stop here. We can contemplate on these 4 or 5 lines. Do you get any message on this? I am unassuming. I narrate like a volcano. I always surrender unto the holy feet of the God's idol, sanctum sanctorum. These 2 are very easy to understand. Then I am the austere, tenderly rocking the breeze. Then I am the floating peacefully of the boat. I am fragrantly present in the deep roots. These are just what I can say, adjective words or anything that we can gather from these 5 sentences.
Sure, uncle. But the thing is, I am actually here to learn, and it would be really nice if you can share your thoughts, and I can maybe learn this time, rather than me contemplating on.
Correct. I want to understand from anybody else whether these 5 things mean something, because this is see, Akka doesn't write something or they give a title which is conflicting. What I came to my mind was that, to cut short the time, Akka has referred to Panchabhutas here. Look at this one. I always surrender unto the holy feet of the God's idol, the sanctum sanctorum. God is the entire creator of Panchabhutas. I therefore surrender to him. Then I go to next time. I am the author tenderly rocking the breeze. I am the one who kindles the light of the lamp. If you look at, she is talking about breeze, the element of air. Then I am the one who kindles the light of the lamp. She talks about another element, fire. I am the floating peacefully as the boat on a flowing river. She talks about water, another element. I inhabit the entire sky unperturbed in complete tranquil. She talks about Akasha. I am fragrantly present in the deep roots below the earth. That she talks about the next earth. The 5 elements. I majestically occupy the minds of those who respect me. I distance myself from the noise, blare, and clutter. I will fervently show up in the gentle hum of the Pranava Om. This, in my opinion, gives you a complete respect of what is self-control. Somewhere she talked about, no, she is prevails in where people meditate. So when you meditate, you cross the Panchabhutas, you probably travel in space, you are mesmerized by the word Om and you get into it. Therefore, to gain self-control, you need to meditate. That's the message I got. I don't know whether there's anything else there.
I felt that Adakam has some amount of divinity, and when Akka expresses similar to what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the best of everything in divinity.
Exactly what she says is that she's talking self-control. Now self-control, here it is waiting. This is like beautifying the beauty. When you know that the breeze is, especially what she calls about that tendril, the breeze is very gentle. She says she rocks the breeze. Actually, the breeze that rocks us. So if you're looking at it is not an oxymoron. It is something like, like as you said, there is a flower. The smell of the flower is Krishna. There is water. The coolness of the water is Krishna. Probably she is trying to say that self-control allows you to control the Panchabhutas. Self-control allows you to go beyond the Panchabhutas and chant, because the Om is beyond the Panchabhutas. That is the all-pervading thing. That's what created everything, according to one of the Upanishads. Therefore, she probably says that, you need to be self-control. You understand that you are actually Om. That's what she says. Clear minds will seek me.
Sometimes it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, for me, suddenly it feels like, okay, the body is, if you need to be healthy, then you have to have self-control, and all your water content, sugar content, or whatever we go through, everything, depression, everything gets into control. Looks like something related to health also she's trying to tell.
You see, this is meaning everything. It is meaning everything, because self-control has got control of her senses, which is a discipline, which Adi Shankara very clearly said, I got eyes, ears, everything. I got 5 times prone to lose myself. So whereas the other animals have got only one weak mind. I think that she comes under in one more chapter called discipline, Kattupadu. That is in the first chapter. He talks about early morning virtue should be Kattupadu. When I get up, I should understand that I should be disciplined throughout the day. I will cover it at some point in time, because these 36 emotions combined give the 20 values.
Sir, here about the Panchabhutas very quickly, in the Upanishads, it says, Akashat Vayuhu, Vayor Agnihi, Agnerapah, Adbhyah Prithvi, Prithivya Oshadhayaha, Oshadibhyo Annam. See, if you see this, Sabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha, if you see the Akasa, it is having only one quality, that is Shabda. Then next one, Akashat Vayuhu, Sabda Sparsha. Then Sabda Sparsha Rupa. Then finally, the Gandhavati Prithvi. And finally, the Upanishad says, Om iti idagam sarvam. Therefore, everything is there in the Om. That immediately, when I go through that, it reminds me of that beautiful, the connection of the Panchabhutas and also the Tanmatras.
Yes, and the same thing is, hello? Hello?
I'm able to hear. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. The same thing is also there in the chapter 7, 10, and 11 of Bhagavad Gita. Exactly the same thing. I am the, for example, I am the sapidity in the water. I am the light in the sun. And exactly the same thing is Akka has given out here. The for all the Panchabhutas, and then the ending with the I am the Pranava, I am the hum of the Pranava Om. That's the.
Uncle, you're on mute, Uncle.
Not audible, Shankar.
Yes, sorry. I was on mute. There's some other sound coming here. Okay, if you look at this one, I distance myself from the noise, blare, and clutter. I will fervently show up in the gentle hum of the Pranava Om. Clear minds will always seek me. When united, I am Shivam. When realized, I am God. This is something, a difference between trying to understand the conscience. Then you are at peace. You are at Shivam. But when you remove that illusion also, you are God yourself. This is probably Advaita philosophy. Unless you are under self-control, you cannot approach Advaita philosophy. Can carry in the next 4-5 lines.
To those who pretend to be me, disappointments alone will be the consequence. To those who truly imbibe me will scale lofty heights. One may indulge in life without any control, but ultimately they'll find peace and composure only on resting on my lap. I am deaf to meaningless words. I cannot be worshipped with unnecessary flattery. Many trust me that I would reward them. Their support is my strength, such that they keep adhering to me. I cannot shower anything other than affection. I can utter words of compassion only. I do not know to share anything other than love and affection. Even while sleeping, my conscience will, even while sleeping, my conscience will be alive and kicking. I will be felt even when I extend my helping hand. Even my shadow will not be present when people are out of balance. When people return to balance free from vacillation, I will emerge and guide them as part of their intellect. Pump is alien to me. The higher world and its dweller god are closer to me. There are many who have reached zenith because of me. There are many a great men who have used me as their tool. I am modest, but I have poured out everything with the sole intention that you should be aware of me, recognize me, and understand me. Please do introspect, reflect, and ponder over my words.
Any take on the last 6-7 lines she read down?
Sir, I
Last
think
sentence, she has come out that modesty and adakam have come together.
Correct.
So the humility and the
Yeah, she brought humility here as the last sentence in Tamil. Yeah.
Sir, I think Sri Akka is telling us that we should always remember her. That is what means a continuous meditation. She can be remembered only by that method. And once that is done, then automatically these 3-4 qualities which we discussed will slowly come to me, because that is what she has promised.
Actually, another article, there is a book of 10 articles written by Akka called Chumma Chumma, just like that. In that, she talks about this Adakam, about a 5-page on the Yacha Prashna, where it says what is this Adakam, what self-control is that. The 5 Draupadi is thirsty and they want to go and fetch water from a nearby pond, which was owned by an HR. And each brother loses self-control and gets swooned by the HR, whereas Yudhishthira goes there and he practices self-control. Therefore, he is able to redeem all his brothers. Now, she links this to the thing what happened in the Mahabharata in the game of dice, where Yudhishthira lost his self-control. He lost himself to the, what I can say, weakness of playing game of dice. He did not use his intellect properly. He allowed Duryodhana. Duryodhana was the inviter. He should have played the game himself. He allowed Saguni to play. Yudhishthira should have asked Krishna to play that game of dice. He did not do that. He went on making mistake after mistake because he was out of self-control. In the urge to win the game, somehow or the other, he went on losing himself. That was the lesson he learned, corrected himself, practiced the self-control, and got the blessings of Etcha, which is nothing but Kalapurusha, and got his 4 brothers back. This is the exact meaning of self-control. If you can take these 2 episodes from Akka's book, they are in 2 different books. I thought I'll just keep it for the end so that, we very clearly understand what is self-control, what is humility, and what is one. The same thing in the Ramayana also. When Bharata was coming to take the Padakas of Rama, Lakshmana thought he was coming for a war. He was trying to engage in war with Bharata, but Rama was calm, full putted. Lakshmana was self-control. Rama controlled him. If you look at this, Lakshmana is like me. Rama is God. He is self-control. Therefore, self-control controls Lakshmana, and how the Bharata is treated well thereafter. If you remember these 2 episodes, these are all narrated by Akka in 3 different books. And because I also had the same confusion, or this thing, the same thing being parroted in 3 different chapters, they are not. They are all quite different. And ultimately, Akka, what she says in this entire Quasi Monologue is that these are 36 emotions. There are other several emotions which are not positive in nature. People talk of intelligence, which is basically intelligent quotient. You want to be smart. People talk of emotion, but emotions can be manipulated. The emotion, a smart fellow can manipulate the emotion of somebody else and try to get quick results. This is what Duryodhana did. He emotion of the jet that his weakness for game of dice, and also his too much of respect for his Dhritarashtra. He used those emotions and defrauded him. Whereas Akka says is that you understand the emotion, use for a greater purpose. Don't be manipulated emotion. If you're a manipulator of emotion, you are smart. If for a user of emotions for a good cause, you are wise. Therefore, the spiritual quotient comes out of intelligence being applied to various things and using the emotions for the right purpose of dharma. This is the whole concept of this book, Pesim Unarvugal, which exactly explains the Gita in the form of several emotions. If there's anything else, we can move to the next item on the agenda.
Mama, even my shadow will not be present. That particular line, what you explained, that actually made sense. But then, if you can explain it a bit further for that particular line.
One second, read out the line. Even my shadow will not be present when people are out of balance. What he means is that Lakshmana was out of balance. He saw Bharata. He thought he's coming to the army to fight with Rama. He was out of balance. He lost his self-control. Rama has to bring self-control on him. Fortunately, Lakshmana was wedded to Rama. He accepted him as this one. Therefore, if you are wedded to your conscience, that's what he's talking about, meditation, how you submit to the Lord at the temple. If you look at the entire thing, what all talks about is that please act out of conscience, don't act out of ego or impulse. If you're acting out of impulse, you lose your balance. At least for Lakshmana, Rama was there to balance him. His conscience was out of place. There's an external aid for him. For us, the external aid is the God in the temple. Therefore, you go to God, you meditate, you get your balance. Therefore, God within you acts with you. So everything talks about is that your ability to connect yourself to God some or the other. That's why she talks about Panchabhutas and meditation.
Thanks, Mama.
All this you can hear. But if you are God a believer, the God will take control of you. Your own self-control may not take control of you, but your conscience will take control of you. Therefore, you will come to balance. Whether you are a tool of the God or tool of your ego, that's all the entire difference is pointed out. Can we move to the next agenda? Any other point on this? I don't want to stop anybody from contributing. So then probably I'll go to the next agenda. Is Jyoti there? Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of silence, there is no response. This is the problem with virtual. I can't see anybody's face. So if there is nothing else to contemplate, and as I promised, I will circulate the article of Akka and what is women made of. It's a very difficult chapter to translate into English. I will do it and circulate. People can get further understanding of what Akka womanhood means. Akka means as womanhood. Here next is that we are moving to one Navagraha sloka, all written in Tamil. There is a context to it. Because when you talk about emotions, many people say that my horoscope is like that. My planets are bad. Second, I got a gene. I inherited from my parents. Akka very clearly talks about in one of the satsangs, he says it about Prahalada is the son of a Rakshasa. But he was a great devotee of Narayana. Vibhishna is the brother of a Rakshasa. Was he not different? Don't blame your gene. Don't blame your planets. Your planets depict the actions of what you did in the past. Your planets will change when you change your actions for the good. Therefore, to do that, you should also pray to Navagrahas. This message was came in a dream, a temple which I could not recognize earlier, where the Navagrahas present, and behind that there was a Navagraha prayer by in the Devaram, that song, and followed by 9 verses in Tamil on Navagrahas. And Akka was with me, Sri Kantesh, Janani, and Jyoti. And she was showing to me that this has to be composed in music and used by you all. And this year is a very strange year where you will have this 7 planets be getting trapped between Ketu and Rahu quite a few times till June. And this particular verse actually removes all those things. Then I was trying to say that that could be different. Many people have sung this like in a Odu or like Veda Devaram. And I remember Aarti Sundaresan long back composing Vinitir Patigam, each line in a different raga, dedicated to each of the planets. That's still in work in process. I'll let sit with her and get it corrected. And I got those ragas of Uttaswami Dichidhar and handed over to Jyoti. I don't know what to do that. I don't know whether all these lyrics will fall into those ragas. She actually spent maybe several nights to get that right. And that is the slogam that we'll be playing. It's a beautiful slogam. It is in Tamil, but the ragas are very important. There is each raga for each planet. I'll just take you through that. Sun is represented by Saurashtra raga. Moon is Averi. Mars is Suriti. Mercury is Natakarinji. Jupiter is Atana. Venus is Paras. Saturn is Yadukula Kambodi. Rahu is Rama Manohari. Ketu is Shanmukapuri. I think I'm right. Aarti should confirm it, I suppose. And we can now listen to this beautiful Navagraha song. Actually, you just listen to the ragas, you'll get the blessings of every planet. Kalani can play that.
வேயுறு தோழி பங்கன் விடமுண்ட கண்டன் மிக நல்ல வீணை தடவி மாசரு திங்கள் கங்கை முடிமேல் அணிந்து என் உளமே புகுந்ததனால் வேயுறு தோழி பங்கன் விடமுண்ட கண்டன் மிக நல்ல வீணை தடவி வாசரு திங்கள் கங்கை முடிமேல் அணிந்து என் உளமே புகுந்ததனால் ஞாயிறு திங்கள் செவ்வாய் புதன் வியாழன் வெள்ளி சனி பாம்பிரண்டும் உடனே ஆசரு நல்ல நல்ல அவை நல்ல நல்ல அடியார் அவர்க்கு மிகவே ஞாயிறு திங்கள் செவ்வாய் புதன் வியாழன் வெள்ளி சனி பாம்பிரண்டும் உடனே ஆசரு நல்ல நல்ல அவை நல்ல நல்ல அடியார் அவர்க்கு மிகவே சீலமாய் வாழ சீரருள் புரியும் சீலமாய் வாழ சீரருள் புரியும் ஞானம் புகழும் ஞாயிறே போற்றி சீலமாய் வாழ சீர் அருள் புரியும் ஞானம் புகழும் ஞாயிறே போற்றி சூர்யா போற்றி சுந்தரா போற்றி சூர்யா போற்றி சுந்தரா போற்றி வீரியா போற்றி வினைகள் களைவாய் போற்றி வீரியா போற்றி வினைகள் களைவாய் போற்றி வினைகள் களைவாய் போற்றி எங்கள் குறைகள் எல்லாம் தீர்க்கும் திங்களே போற்றி திருவருள் தருவாய் எங்கள் குறைகள் எல்லாம் தீர்க்கும் திங்களே போற்றி திருவருள் தருவாய் சந்திரா போற்றி சத்குரு போற்றி சந்திரா போற்றி சத்குரு போற்றி சங்கடம் தீர்ப்பாய் சதுரா போற்றி சந்திரா போற்றி சத்குரு போற்றி சங்கடம் தீர்ப்பாய் சதுரா போற்றி சங்கடம் தீர்ப்பாய் சதுரா போற்றி சிறப்பனு மணியே செவ்வாய் தேவே சிறப்பனு மணியே செவ்வாய் தேவே குறைவிலாதருள்வாய் குணமுடன் வாழ சிறப்பனு மணியே செவ்வாய் தேவே குறைவிலாதருள்வாய் குணமுடன் வாழ மங்கள செவ்வாய் மலரடி போற்றி அங்காரகனே அவதிகள் நீக்குக அங்காரகனே அவதிகள் நீக்குக மங்கள செவ்வாய் மலரடி போற்றி இதமுற வாழ இன்னல்கள் நீக்குக புத பகவானே பொன்னடி போற்றி இதமுற வாழ இன்னல்கள் நீக்குக புத பகவானே பொன்னடி போற்றி பகந்தந்தருள்வாய் பண்ணொழியானே பகந்தந்தருள்வாய் பண்ணொழியானே உதவியே அருளும் உத்தமா போற்றி பகந்தந்தருள்வாய் பண்ணொழியானே உதவியே அருளும் உத்தமா போற்றி உதவியே அருளும் உத்தமா போற்றி குணமிகு வியாழ குரு பகவானே குணமிகு வியாழ குரு பகவானே மனமுடன் வாழ மகிழ்வுடன் அருள்வாய் குணமிகு வியாழ குரு பகவானே மனமுடன் வாழ மகிழ்வுடன் அருள்வாய் ப்ரஹஸ்பதி வியாழ பார குருநேசா ப்ரஹஸ்பதி வியாழ பார குருநேசா கிரகதோஷமின்றி கடாட்சி தருள்வாய் ப்ரஹஸ்பதி வியாழ பார குருநேசா கிரகதோஷமின்றி கடாட்சி தருள்வாய் குணமிகு வியாழ குரு பகவானே சுக்கிரமூர்த்தி சுபமிகை வாய் வாக்கிரமென்றே வரமிக தருள்வாய் சுக்கிரமூர்த்தி சுபமிகை வாய் வாக்கிரமென்றே வரமிக தருள்வாய் வெள்ளி சுக்ர வேத்தக வேந்தே அள்ளி கொடுப்பாய் அடியார் கருளே சங்கடம் தீர்ப்பாய் மங்களம் பொங்க மனம் வைத்தருள்வாய் சங்கடம் தீர்ப்பாய் சனி பகவானே மங்களம் பொங்க மனம் வைத்தருள்வாய் சச்சரவின்றி சாகா நெறியில் இச்சகம் வாழ இன்னருள்தா சச்சரவின்றி சாகா நெறியில் இச்சகம் வாழ இன்னருள்தா சங்கடம் தீர்ப்பாய் சனி பகவானே அரவனும் ராகு ஐயனே போற்றி அரவனும் ராகு ஐயனே போற்றி கரவாதருள்வாய் கஷ்டங்கள் நீக்கி அரவனும் ராகு ஐயனே போற்றி கரவாதருள்வாய் கஷ்டங்கள் நீக்கி ஆக அருள் புரி அனைத்திலும் வெற்றி ஆக அருள் புரி அனைத்திலும் வெற்றி ராகு கனியே ரம்மியா போற்றி ராகு கனியே ரம்மியா போற்றி ரம்மியா போற்றி கேது தேவே கீர்த்தி திருவே கேது தேவே கீர்த்தி திருவே பாதம் போற்றி பாவங்கள் தீர்ப்பாய் கேது தேவே கீர்த்தி திருவே பாதம் போற்றி பாவங்கள் தீர்ப்பாய் பாதம் வம்பு வழக்குகள் இன்றி பாதம் வம்பு வழக்குகள் இன்றி கேது தேவே கேண்மையாய் ரட்சி வாதம் வம்பு வழக்குகள் இன்றி கேது தேவே கேண்மையாய் ரட்சி கேது தேவே கேண்மையாய் ரட்சி आदित्याय सोमाय मङ्गलाय बुधाय च गुरुशुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राहवे केतवे नमो नमः।
I hope all of you enjoyed it and benefited this Navagraha sloka. And now I hand over to Kalyani for the remaining part of the agenda.
Now I'm going to play Pada Puja video.
Can ask her to play. Kala Kalini?
It's over.
That's okay. Thank you. So I had a request from somebody to play the Kala Bhairava song once again. We can play it and then we can complete this.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much, Mama.
Yeah. So, because I got a message that they want somebody to play it once again.
எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் களங்கமற்ற பூரணம் கடுஞ்சினத்தின் தோரணம் இளங்க நின்ற பைரவம் விசுத்தி சேர்க்கும் மெய்தவம் களங்கமற்ற பூரணம் கடுஞ்சினத்தின் தோரணம் விளங்க நின்ற பைரவம் விசுத்தி சேர்க்கும் மெய்தவம் நலங்கள் வாரி நல்கிடும் நமச்சிவாய நாயகம் துலங்கும் ஜோதி தரிசனம் தொடர்ந்து நம்மை ஆளவே
ஆணவம் அழிக்கவே அயன் சிரத்தை கொய்தவன் மானவன் மகேஸ்வரன் வாழ்த்துவோரின் வரமவன்
ஆணவம் அழிக்கவே அயன் சிரத்தை கொய்தவன் மானவன் மகேஸ்வரன் வாழ்த்துவோரின் வரமவன் தானுமாலயன் இணைந்த தத்துவத்தின் சித்திரம் தானுமாலயன் இணைந்த தத்துவத்தின் சித்திரம் பேணுகின்ற காவலாய் இறங்கி நின்ற நாதனே ஆணவம் அழிக்கவே அயன் சிரத்தை கொய்தவன் மானவன் மகேஸ்வரன் வாழ்த்துவோரின் வரமவன் தங்க வண்ணம் கொண்டவன் சாத்தியங்கள் கண்டவன் சிங்கத்தோலுரித்து சீற்றம் தீர்த்து விட்ட பைரவன்
சிங்கத்தோலுரித்து சீற்றம் தீர்த்து விட்ட பைரவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் என்றுமே சிறந்தவன்
சிங்கத்தோலுரித்து சீற்றம் தீர்த்து விட்ட பைரவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் என்றுமே சிறந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் என்றுமே சிறந்தவன் பொங்கு மங்களத்தினோடு பொருளும் சேர போற்றுவோம் நம்புவோர்க்கு நம்பியாய் நாளும் காக்கும் பைரவன் அன்பு செய் மனத்தினோர்க்கே ஆசி கூறும் தேசவன் பண்பகை அழித்துமே வாழ்த்த வந்த தாயவன் பண்பகத்தில் வாழவே பரிசளிக்கும் அரசவன் எழுக தீமை எங்கனும் கேண்மை பெருக வையமும் அழக நன்மை யாவையும் ஆற்றலோடும் ஏற்றமாய் தொடுக உச்சி வரையிலும் தொடரும் இன்பம் நிலை பெற ஆற்றலோடும் ஏற்றமாய் தொடுக உச்சி வரையிலும் தொடரும் இன்பம் நிலை பெற வடுகநாதன் அருளுமே வழுவிலாது பெருகவே கெடுக தீமை எங்கனும் கேண்மை பெருக வையமும் அழக நன்மை யாவையும் ஆற்றலோடும் ஏற்றமாய் தொடுக உச்சி வரையிலும் தொடரும் இன்பம் நிலை பெற எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் எங்குமே நிறைந்தவன் ஓம் பைரவாய வித்மஹே ஹரிஹர பிரம்ம
Thank you all for
Simply amazing. Thank you very, very much, Mama. Simply amazing. We parked the car in the site. I'm taking Akhilandeshwari from here, Chennai to Hyderabad. And I was just thinking that, Akka, all this satsang I'm having with you, and I'm so sorry because of my indiscipline, the whatever was done, I'm not able to, like, I couldn't make you listen to the first song. And you suddenly come down and say that we are going to play it again is like, immediately Akka answering my prayers. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
actually, this song is
really wonderful.
And here we will circulate it separately so that you can get the full beat of drums, everything in the background. If you don't use the headphone, you won't get the clarity. I hope
No, I have it in the car. It is like it's like full blown, and I'm sure Akka has enjoyed it to every bit. Very nicely done. Thank you so much, Mama.
I only wish Akka had been physically present, should have enjoyed this song and this vibration. Anyway, she has been guiding us and we are able to get the thing too. I'm very happy that people are participating. I want more youngsters to come into picture. Thanks Amrita to participate, Chandra to participate. Please bring your friends also, because these 20 values are to be imbibed by you people. I am 60 plus and many of the people who are part of around 50 plus. So the whole world depends on people, youngsters like you. Please participate in something and get the benefit out of for yourself and the universe. Thank you once again. We'll meet you next.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Matyoli Charnam.
Bye.
Jai Nandalala.
Jai Nandalala.
Jai Nandalala. Bye.
Jai Nandalala.
Jai Nandalala. Pranams to everybody.
Jai Nandalala.
Jai
Pranams.
Jai Nandalala.
Jai Nandalala.
Thank you, sir.
Angela was there. Kalyan ఉంటుంది. Okay. Malati.